Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world.
I've been looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over till I found you. I sit and listen to your stories, and you're telling me, please don't worry. Lot in this world you should know, and love in life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then love in life will guide you.
Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world, and welcome to tonight's live stream. Now, just to be clear, this is pre-recorded because of load shedding, which is just absolutely chaotic in South Africa, as everybody now knows. And my guest tonight is Cheralynne Janse van Vuuren, and she has been put through an absolutely torrid time by the Master's Court, and in particular by a liquidator, which has resulted in her pretty much living on the streets, despite the fact that before her divorce she owned several properties. This is a story that's going to absolutely astonish you and just show you how corrupt the system in South Africa is. All right, without any further ado, let me get Cheralynne on, and have a great evening. Here we go. Are you back?
Oh my goodness, wait, how did that happen?
I'm here.
Have you been there all the time?
No, I just noticed that you'd just come back.
Oh, wait, I haven't got lipstick, wait.
Sorry.
But now I can't see the picture, so let me try and go in the top of the screen here, wait. I'm on an ongoing call, so...
Yeah, no, leave everything, you're good. You're good. I can see you, I can hear you, everything is perfect, so just don't worry about anything else, okay? Now look, Cheralynne, you are one of the most amazing people I've met on the internet. Now, I mean that in a good way, okay? Look, I meet a lot of people, but your energy, your vitality, everything about you is just quite extraordinary, and we'll talk about this at a later stage, but I think you in the future could be a regular participant on Loving Life TV with your own videos and your own views and stuff like that. And I would welcome that, because I love your vitality. But that's not what we're here to talk about tonight. I know at the moment it's not your tonight, but because of load shedding, we just have to put up with the BS of what's going on in South Africa. What we're here to talk about tonight is something that you, as a South African citizen, have been put through in the last 10 years. And what I've seen here, and I've watched your, and look, I got to tell people listening here that I'd never heard of the word reels being used for videos in the past until I came across Cheralynne, and she was up there and her videos were going viral, and she was saying, well, my last reel was da 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 da. We're talking about the old 35mm going that's what we're talking about, isn't it? Now, you and I are old farts. Okay, look, I'm probably the older fart. I'm nearly 70. So.
No, Scott, listen, we've already established that our birthdays are very, very close.
Yes, you're actually about a month younger than me. All right, okay. Now you've really let the cat out the bag. Okay, so let's get back to the situation here. Okay, so what I know I'm seeing on social media is not reference to videos. I'm seeing reference from people totally unrelated to the lady I'm talking to here as reels. And she's already set a whole new trend. You know, it's no longer videos, it's reels. So just letting you know, this is where it all originated from. Now, Cheralynne, tell me a bit about yourself and your life before we get into the situation that you've gone through.
Well, I don't want to sound like the victim, because I'm certainly never let myself become a victim, but I didn't have a very easy life. I came from a family with a very abusive father, a very, very loving mother, and we were 4 siblings, and I ended up being homeless at the age of 15. My younger siblings, even younger than me, we were all farmed out. And my mother had a terrible life after her divorce, and I saw her struggles, and I knew that she didn't bring it upon herself. She married a very, very abusive man. He abused his children. He was just not a nice man, and I saw that I was never going to end up like that. So I actually started working at the age of 15. I eventually went on to nursing, and I haven't stopped educating myself because I never wanted to end up like her. I made sure that I provided for my old age. I had lovely businesses going. Unfortunately, the man that I married will never really love me, but after 42 years, I did realize that I deserve a life. And I went about asking for a divorce, which by the time was my 5th attempt, due to the legal system of this country, because they just delay it. Your abuser ends up totally destroying you. He then ends up coming to rescue you. Oh, let me rescue this tissue. But this 5th time I was determined not to do that. So I first of all got a settlement in place to make sure that I don't end up in the streets, which we both agreed to. I went and sought out the help of an attorney, which dragged the case out for 4.5 years to ridiculous legal bills. Then we couldn't reach a settlement.
Okay, let's stop right there. I want to take you back a little bit, okay? Now, your divorce happened in 2014, and you had properties in Amanzimtoti and other places, so it's not like you were, you know, after all that work that you're talking about that you'd done to build a life for yourself, you'd actually done a huge amount to make sure that you had financial security going into old age. And that's the big issue, because that's now gone pear-shaped because of the corruption within the basically the legal system in South Africa and the financial system as well. But let's go back to 2014. Okay, so before you pull the plug on this relationship, tell me a bit about the properties and the businesses and the things that you owned, and give us an idea of what their value was, just so people understand that you weren't someone who was just walking on the streets of Durban and living in a little hovel. Over to you.
Well, at the time of the divorce, I had a beautiful, when I say I'm referring to we, because remember we were married in community of property, so everything was half. There was no discussion about what. I had a beautiful small holding in Drummond, which is the halfway mark of the Comrades Marathon.
Oh, I'm a long distance runner, so I'm with you already. Okay, get back to you.
You know how beautiful in the beautiful day.
Love it. Absolutely. Comrades Marathon, amazing. Yeah, back to you.
So, it was a small holding of 12 acres.
That's a nice size.
Beautiful. There was a yellow, the person that we bought it from, I'm going to tell you a funny little thing. We bought it from a man who was a professor at the university. So he was no idiot. He had already transformed that small holding into a sustainable place. It was beautiful. And I said to him, are you a professor? What do you teach? And he said, idiots.
Well, look, I got to tell you, Cheralynne, that I actually bought a farm in the Drakensberg near Champagne Castle in 1980. So, look, I love the rural life. Yeah, back to you.
Okay, so this small holding, it had a beautiful farm dwelling, but it was so natural. It had a little cottage on it, which I later converted to a restaurant, which was called Lingalonga Animal Farm and Restaurant. And how that was born is we bought the small holding because my daughter had a racehorse, but we didn't know anything about horses, so we bought the small holding so she could stable her horse, and we bought 2 little miniature horses as stable companions. The proper little horses, they were delightful. And from there it just went crazy.
Yeah.
Someone said we've got a donkey that needs rescuing, so we had to get a rescue.
So you became a animal rescue farm.
That's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
And the animal farm, Lingalonga Animal Farm, we eventually had crocodiles and monkeys. I had 101 birds, all of different species, from macaws to Malucans, because a rescued one would arrive that had been in a cage its whole life, and now it's got to get a companion, so I would go and look for a rest. So it was absolutely, it was the most beautiful place. So in my estimation, just before and then on that property, which was 12 acres, the man that was a professor that taught idiots, of the 12 acres, he'd applied for a subdivision, which was 5 acres, 3.5 and 3.5, because the bylaws of that area is that you cannot have a property under 1 acre. So, under 3.5 acres. So he had applied for it, it had been accepted, so that was a bonus for us. But on that property, the original pump house for Drummond was within that 12 acres. So because it at one stage belonged to all the property owners, that was never part of the 12 acres. So they separated it and they called it Lot 28. It was the pump house, which first of all we had it for stables for the horses until we made beautiful stables for them down at the restaurant. We then converted that into a double story, which were offices and a gym. Later we built on a cottage for my mom and a cottage for my husband's mother. So it was already a lovely little dwelling. So just before the divorce, we got an estimation. So the main property, which was I have to tell you where this was the corruption comes in, is that the property was valued by an estate agent, Remax. Her name is Bernadette.
I know Remax well. Yeah.
Well, she valued the main property at 3.5 million. By main, I'm talking the 5 acres. The property, which was Lot 28, which I eventually developed myself into a beautiful little dwelling, that was valued at the rates value at 950. Now remember, that's only the land, it's not the dwelling that I had put on it.
Yeah, so it's say 1.5.
Yeah, well, I'm talking just rates value.
Yeah.
So obviously, market value, it would far exceed that.
Yeah, sure.
Then the other 3.5 acres, the one was valued at 1.590. The other 3.5 acres I had sold, of which I was supposedly enriched. The funds I used to develop lot 28 into a dwelling for me.
Yeah.
So the main property of 5 acres plus my little lot 28 was worked out. I mean, it was 4.5 million rand. That whole property, including lot 28, of which I'd put the 400,000 that I was supposedly enriched into that property and had improved the main property. Then the 3.5 acres which my husband was awarded was valued at the time for 1.590. That entire property he sold for 2.2 million.
Hang on. Who sold it?
The liquidator being Jeff Pobb, who was appointed by the High Court to divide.
Okay. Let me just get this right. Okay, now these liquidators come under the Master's Court, and we know there's a huge question over what how they operate. We've had some live streams about that in the past. So you're saying to me that this piece of land you had in Drummond, which is a beautiful, for people who don't know, it's in the Valley of the Thousand Hills. It's the most beautiful part of South Africa, in KwaZulu-Natal, and you had various subdivisions which basically made the property worth about 10 million rand, if we just put a ballpark figure on it, and this liquidator sold it for 2.2 million rand. How did that happen?
Well, this is what is so annoying to me, because when a liquidator is appointed, by the way, we have to need to go back later, which we will, I'm sure you'll take me through it, how the court order was totally not followed. He just made, but let's get to that later. But when a liquidator is appointed to do a receivership, he's God. He's God. You cannot question anything he does until the final account gets presented. But everything he does along the way, you're not allowed to contest it. You're not allowed to say, no, buddy, you not only are not selling my property for less than half the value, he kicked me out.
No, hang on. Look, I've got to interrupt you again. Okay, I really do. Because the way I understand it is that you, after waiting for years for the divorce to be actually finalized, actually called for a liquidator to come in. And now you land up with a feral liquidator who's going to do the wrong thing by you.
Well, that is exactly what happened.
So tell us about that, because people need to understand the context of how this divorce never went anywhere, and you brought in the liquidator so that you could actually finalize and move on.
Okay, but first what I need to tell you is so that there's a clear understanding of that. During the period of the separation, which was 4.5 years, all the agreements that were presented, no matter what they were contested. So that divorce just drew out for 4.5 years. In the meantime, the attorney
was contested by your husband. Yeah.
He would not reach the settlement. Although we had the divorce hearing acknowledged, a High Court judge acknowledged that we had a settlement in place, an agreement both written and oral, which my husband did not comply with. He immediately, on the very first day of the separation, went out to destroy me. Not just that, but he then subsequently got that estate into debt. He let utilities get into arrears by $500,000.
Oh, wow.
When there were power cuts. Eskom had eventually disconnected the power there on a permanent basis. I lived there for 2 years with no any lights. The tenants had stopped paying because their lights were cut. My husband ran illegal cables from where he built himself a house, which destroyed all the electrical things which were catching alight. So besides the fact that the 2.2 million, I had to pay 120,000 rand just for the electrical compliance. So there's a lot going on here. And the liquidator, after selling the house, well, the main property for 5 million, he awarded the 3.5 acres to my husband from day one and gave him free occupation to this day, which is, now 4.5 years. So he's also had free occupation.
Hang on. He's still living there?
He was not only is he living there, the proceeds from the main house, which was what was left of the 2.2 million, 65,000 rand was taken from that to transfer the property into my ex-husband's name. So that was 65,000, plus he was awarded the property for 1.590. That property is closer to 3.5 million. It's 3.5 acres. It's a double story with 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and underneath in Drummond, he got awarded for 1.590, plus the liquidator paid to do the transfers and the registering into his name.
What did you get? What did the liquidator give you?
So what happened is, first of all, in January, there's a long thing because there were houses that a little Manzantoti house, which he was going to give away.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
So there was a house in a Manzantoti that had a bond. But the bond was fine because that was actually our little cash cow, that house. So if we needed a little 20,000 rand to put up a new paddock because the horse has gone into the neighbour's mini fields, then we would take a bond. We would take a little bond on the Manzantoti house and whoopie-doo, we'd fix that up. I also took a little bond on that house to start my restaurant Linga Longa. So now that in itself is very hurtful because I paid that bond eventually and my restaurant was taken. But anyway, that's another bloody issue. So that house had a bond, which we never really worried about because they were always paying tenants which honoured the bond. And also, we never did much maintenance because, as you know, to have rental tenants, you're just wasting your money because, so it was always there, but the value of the asset was just increasing with a good face look and, a little bit of a clean up and everything. That house was worth probably, if not more than 3 times what the bond was.
Yeah.
Now, when Mr. Fobb sold the 5 acres, that was the only remaining asset.
Mr. Fobb, just to be clear, is the
liquidator.
The Master's Office appointed liquidator. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Back to you.
So once he sold the 5 acres, including my lot 28, which was part of the agreement that I would keep. So the agreement which the High Court judge acknowledged that I was going to get lot 28, and in all likelihood, depending on, the values of the estate, my husband would in all likelihood get the 3.5 acres.
Yeah.
And my 28 was going to have a little use of frack. So when that was all sold, there was nothing. Plus, I was kicked out. You go to the pavement. I said, where must I say? He said, it's not my function to provide a roof over your head. I said, okay, well, that's fine. What about all my assets here? You must take them, otherwise they're going to be sold. I said, where must I take them to? It's not my function where you take them to. I said, well, now you've shut down my income, haven't you? My income was the rental tenants before the lights started getting cutting, which when I lost that income as well. So now you've taken my income. Where do you suppose I get money to go and rent a place? Not my function where you get money from. So I said, well, then can I maybe have the Manzantoti house by any chance? You think you could do that? No. No, you can't have that one. Anyway, to cut a long story short, that Amanzimtoti house at the time, he was going to sell that house. There was a for sale board on the pavement, which my brother saw, for 700,000 rand. My brother phoned me.
That's about 60,000. That's about 50,000 US dollars.
A house in Amanzimtoti. Now let me tell you,
that's crazy. I mean, that's nothing.
But now the house in Amanzimtoti is on the rear of Amanzimtoti. It's not Warner Beach or Athlone Park. Okay, it's in a fantastic setting.
So it's a very, very upmarket setting.
Very upmarket. It had 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Not only that, it had a double-story apartments, each of 2 bedrooms, lounge, bathroom, kitchen, double-story, each with their own, which were income generating. So had anybody bought that house, they could have either lived in one of the cottages, which I did when I went and cleaned them up. I lived there for a year to clean up the mess, because there were hoarders and squatters eventually, because Mr. Fob stopped taking the rentals for it and he never evicted them. So yes, that property, eventually Standard Bank got issued a judgment to repossess that house at a High Court hearing, which I was summoned to, and they said, we're taking this house back. And I said, no, you can't do that. And Mr. Fob is in charge of this house. I got a letter in year 1 saying that he's going to be settling that bond with the proceeds of the main sale, which he obviously didn't do. So the judgment was issued, and Standard Bank said to me, you've got 3 months to rectify this bond. Mr. Fob, the liquidator, didn't pitch at the High Court hearing. He got a leave of stay because his paperwork wasn't due. I said to the judge, it's not my responsibility. I had no say in any of the management of the property. You know what he said to me? He said, little girl, you took out the bond with Standard Bank, not Mr. Fob. You're responsible for this, and I don't want to hear about your liquidator. He's not even here to defend you. So your story, in all likelihood, is a lot of nonsense. But I'll tell you what I will do. I'll give you 3 months for you to rectify this bond. So I said, fine. Let me try see what I can do here. I don't know what to do.
No, hang on. Who was the judge who was doing this to you?
Well, it was a judge at the High Court of Durban.
Yeah, what was it now? I want to know his name.
Well, I can find that out for you because the judge...
Yeah. Well, look, please give me his name later. Because I think this is disgusting. Yeah, go ahead.
And the Standard Bank attorneys were there as well. They were actually very sympathetic to our case.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Standard Bank attorneys obviously had to be there because the judgment, and they were shocked that the judge did that, because the Standard Bank had all the paperwork that the receivership was in place. Yet the judge said, but needless to say, I don't know if he thought that I wouldn't be able to do anything about it and they could just quickly, nicely take the house back. I said, fine. For 6 weeks, I got no response from Mr. Fob. I got no response from my attorney, nothing. After 6 weeks, I said, that's it. I borrowed money because the place was a pigsty.
Yeah.
I got rid of all the squatters and the tenants myself. Incidentally, one of the squatters assaulted me. She broke my ear, had a blue eye, she locked me in the flat. I phoned Mr. Fob to this day. He hasn't responded. They were going to lock me in jail for theft because I got rid of the rude stuff. But that's another whole story.
No, sorry. Can you just repeat? You were assaulted. What actually happened with the assault?
Well, I was residing in the cottage at the top of this mountain that I said there are 2 generating income properties.
Yeah.
I was residing at the top. I'm cleaning up with the property in the anticipation that he was going to do what he said, that settle the bond and I would be awarded that property.
Yeah.
So in the time that I resided there, every single day, I cleaned up that property. I transformed it from a dump into a beautiful villa by the coast. I borrowed money from friends, and I do interior decorating, so I had my own little team. And we got stuck into that house. And I said, no. So I phoned an auctioneer. I said, listen, I'm in trouble here because I'm going to lose this property. I've only got 6 weeks left now after 3 months because the first 6 weeks I couldn't get a response. So there's no time for me to market this. I need to get this auctioned. And auctioneer, a lovely lady called Rona, within a day, she said, come, let's do this. I'm giving you 3 weeks. Get this house photo ready on the outside. We're going to list it for the next auction. And then the next 3 weeks, you get it photo ready on the inside. I said, right, you on. Let's go. So I got the team in. I got all my little team in there. They don't need any help. They just know Google. When Google talks, you just do whatever she says. If she wants it green, paint it green. Don't argue. And my little team are wonderful. I blow money. Within 3 weeks, we got that house photo ready. I landscaped the garden. I stopped the washaways that had been happening for years. We redirected water. We got retaining walls up. We did it. And it went on auction. Unfortunately, the marketing wasn't that big because she put at the starting bid the value that I needed to settle the bond. So I said, but it doesn't matter, I've saved the house. I got 3 offers. Just keep those offers open. Let me quickly try to see if I can get a private sale here, which I did. I marketed it onto the local, the for sale classified, and within 1 hour I got a buyer for the house. 500,000 Rand more for what Mr. Fob was going to sell it for. And mine, on that 500,000 Rand more, mine was footsteps because I learned about the compliance that I had to pay in Drummond. I said, now this is footsteps because you're getting the house for less than half the value, but I'm just trying to save it from the bank.
Yeah.
So at least, I've got a clean slate there, and then I can get my half dividends from the sale of the main property. And I sold it with no compliance. So you pay your own electrical compliance, your own plumbing, your entomology, you do everything. And for 6 weeks, I couldn't get Jeff Fob to assist us with the sale of that house. He didn't respond to emails. Eventually, the buyers had a prepaid approved bond with Standard Bank. It should have been a simple process of this house is under sequestration, if you want to call it. But yeah, she's brought a buyer pre-approved with Standard Bank. It could have literally transferred the bond into their name. For 6 weeks, we couldn't get him. Eventually, the buyers had to get their own attorneys to correspond with Jeff Fob to get that transfer done. To add insult to injury, Mr. Fob tried to sell me my own house. He sent me an offer to purchase, but I will buy the Mount Road property from him, Mr. Fob, not from the estate. There was so much shenanigans going on there.
Hang on. Look, let's just get clear. That house at Amanzimtoti, your liquidator sent you a notice saying you can buy your property from me at this price.
Yes. So
hang on, that's fraud. That is blatant fraud. Look, I tell you what, I want to get this Jeff Fob on a live stream on Loving Live TV to explain this, because that is fraud. And this is a guy. Now, hang on. This is a guy who sold your Drummond property basically from under your feet, and your husband or your ex-husband has still got that piece that he lives on, but you were basically turfed out on the street. And when it came to Amanzimtoti, your property that you own, he's saying, I will sell it to you at this price. That's
what he did.
That's bullshit. That is fraud. And this is someone who's actually registered with the Master's Office in Durban as a liquidator.
Well, I don't want to put my head on the line here, but from day one, I was suspicious of this.
I just want to make this clear, Cheralynne, because look, just so we're both on the same page, he actually sent you a notification saying you can buy your property from me at this price. It
was an offer to purchase.
Yeah. But from him, the liquidator.
Yes.
So
my husband's portion was a transfer. So my husband's, if you look at the final account, it says, I'm transferring my half share to him. Yet, for the Manzum Toti house, I wasn't getting his half share, I was buying it from Jeff Fobb.
Wow. How did he acquire the property? That's what I can't understand.
Well, how do you acquire my property?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Okay, Jeff Fobb. Yeah, I'm sure you're going to be listening to this live stream. How did you acquire the property in a Manzum Toti from Cheralynne when no one had signed any documents? How are you going to sell your ownership of her property back to her just because you were the liquidator? This is bullshit. This is bullshit. Absolute bullshit. I'm sure everybody listening to this will say, whoa, Houston, we have a problem.
We don't have a lift off, I can tell you that.
No, what we have is a big dunny which is full of crap. That's what we have. Okay. So all right, so what happened after this scenario with the property in Manzum Toti? What was the outcome? What actually happened? What transpired?
So, my buyer, lovely buyers, they were really amazing young couple. Yeah. So now, if we go to the financial side, this is what starts making me a bit twisted. So I improved that property. I got 500,000 rand more than he was going to dump it for. So I anticipated that that's my profit.
Absolutely.
But apparently it's not. So now, first of all, let's take it like this. There was no estate agent's duty, which he was prepared to pay to sell it. So that estate agent's duty should have been mine. I worked for that. Surely I'm due that. Secondly, the profit that was made from what he was going to sell it to what I eventually enriched back to the estate should have been my profit. Now let me tell you something. I didn't get 1 cent benefit besides the fact that the money I borrowed to improve that property, I still haven't paid back. So then he gave me a letter saying, everything's all good now. He said, he sold the property. He sold the property nothing. He was going to give it away. I sold the property, not him. But in his letter he said he sold the property. So in January of 2022, my money will be available in 6 weeks.
Now, hang on. What did he sell the property for?
Now remember, I found the buyer.
So when he's saying he sold the property, he's talking about the buyer that you found. Now he's claiming that he actually found the buyer, and now it's all okay. Okay, so in other words, he's talking crap. Okay,
so when the judge reads what a good boy he is, he sold the property at Baba more than the barn.
The $500,000 extra rand because of the work that you had done. Yeah, back to you.
So now let me tell you what is the most frightening thing. Had I let him sell that property, his estate agent that came and put a board on my pavement that I told her where to shove that board. And the next day I got an email from him saying, don't you dare interfere with the selling and the non-selling of this property. Then I told him where he can stick his word.
I bet you did. Go ahead.
So when that property was sold, I then got a letter saying that my money would be paid in 6 weeks, which was dated January of 2022.
So that's now what? Let's see, that's about 15 months ago.
Yes, because more, because now we're 2023.
Yes. Sorry. It's about 27 months ago. It's over 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I went and bought the most delightful property in Port Edward, because my whole purpose was, first of all, to generate an income. The second was to open a wellness center and a retreat for abused women, which would have been done twice a month. A retreat where for 4 days women would come. I'm an allied health practitioner, and it was my aim. So waiting for the money, I borrowed money to start getting the wellness retreat done. I started doing all the alterations. I got registered. But every month the money didn't come. I'd spent in excess of 120,000 Rand on that property that I put in an offer for, on the promissory note that my money would be paid in 6 weeks. I was eventually kicked out of that house.
Now hang on. This is money that Jeff Fobb, the liquidator, promised to pay you within 6 weeks.
Yes, I got the note.
So you, as a result of that confirmation by Jeff Fobb, you went ahead and, like anyone else would, you started rebuilding your life, and he reneged on that.
Yes, eventually the sellers said, listen here, we need our money. We can't carry on like this. So while I was living in the house, now it's not just that, it gets so much worse. All the work that I'd done there are now fixtures.
Yeah.
So I'd put in water tanks, I'd installed gutters, I'd put up fencing, I'd redirected the water. And remember, it was a house that was very reasonable, as it had stood empty and it had been vandalized. But I'd valued what it would cost to fix up all the vandalism, which I did. The electricity and the plumbing, water tanks, I'd already done all that. So besides that, I'm now 120,000 Rand in debt for money that I've borrowed to do it. I was kicked out of there. Back on the streets again. That was it. I was back on the street. And then when I was kicked out of the house, I had to leave everything. I'd rebuilt up my life again. With the money that I'd borrowed, I bought furniture. My sister-in-law and her mother, oh my word, they kitted me with little maid, everything. I built up my whole home with gorgeous. My sister gave me curtains worth more than my house was worth in Drummond. And I went and set that beautiful home up. So when I was kicked out of it, well, evicted, whatever you want to call it, that house was robbed. Down to they took the kitchen cupboards off the wall. It was down to
hang on. Let me get this right. Okay, so Jeff Fobb reneges on his promise to pay you out for the property in Amanzimtoti. You, in the meantime, have invested in this other place which you're going to build this business that you could actually go ahead and keep going with your life. And because Jeff Fobb reneges on his payments, you basically are told by the people who are waiting for their money, and I can understand their perspective. They say, look, you made these promises, you haven't done it, so get out of here. And the day after you leave, all of a sudden, everything in that place, including very expensive fixtures, just kind of gets stolen, and you're left with sitting on the bones of your butt. Have I got that right?
It gets worse. It gets worse.
How can it get worse? Now, hang on. How can it get worse?
Because I still had a motor car, a Yaris. Now this Yaris was offered to me at 90,000 Rand at the beginning of the liquidation. It was a little two-door 1,000 Yaris that I just had the cam belt, brakes, brand new tires. Before, after it was offered at 90, I said, I can't take this car for 90,000. Are you crazy? It's 11 years old. It needs tires, cam belts, goodness what all. No, I'm not buying it for 90. But anyway, so through the receivership, I did have the privilege of being able to use this car. So I couldn't afford the license for it or the insurance. Let's not go down that road. But out of borrowed money, I had to put new tires, the cam belt, brakes, everything. So when I was kicked out of the Port Edward house, I had nowhere to go. So I have a very dear friend who later I will also tell you has also been scammed by a liquidator. So I went to go and stay with her in Botterfield, which is 30 kilometers from Hermanus. Our intent then was, let's do this wellness center together. As she's an allied health practitioner, and we wanted to open a wellness center together. She was single, she just lost her husband, and her property was also under receivership, which she's also nearly losing. So I had nowhere to take the car. And I don't know if it was a gut instinct. I just knew that I mustn't leave that car in that house, because if that car gets stolen, it wasn't insured. Not for a minute did I think my furniture would get stolen. I mean, the house was all locked up upstairs. So I wrote to him, I first phoned, and then I wrote to Mr. Cobb. I said, listen, I've got nowhere to go. I've just been kicked out, thanks to you very much. I'm going to Botterfield. My friend there has found a lovely little property for me. She's an estate agent 2 doors down from her at the right price, and we're going to start the wellness center in Botterfield. I don't think I'm scared of you, that I've been kicked out of Port Edward. So, borrowed money again, bought myself an aeroplane ticket to go to Botterfield. Now listen to me with a backpack. That's all I had. And the contents of my car, I phoned Mr. Cobb and I emailed him. I said, I'm leaving the car at the airport. I will leave the keys at the police station. I then got to the airport. I phoned his secretary. I said, Cheryl, the car is in bay number whatever. The parking ticket and the keys are at the airport police station. I'm getting on the plane. Goodbye. Mr. Fobb didn't collect that car for going on 3 weeks. And you know what he did when he did collect the car?
What?
He sold it. He sold it for 35,000 Rand. So even that was gone. Sold your car for 35,000 Rand. My friend wrote him a letter and said, now wait a minute, she wants to keep that car, but just give us a chance so that we can somehow try and get it from Port Edward to Botterfield now. Remember, it's not insured. It's got no license. It was going to cost 5,000 Rand to get my car to Botterfield. So just hang on, keep it in your possession, because he sold it for 35,000 Rand. So now I didn't even have a car. And the offer that I put in at Botterfield, where I could have gone and started my life again, once again, he didn't pay them that money. So after 3 months in Botterfield, I had nowhere to go, and I had to come back to Natal again. So, and I've been on the street virtually ever since, up until I've got this little cabin, which isn't even worth the paper that it's written on. But anyway, so it's what happened.
Now Jeff Fobb is JEFF space FOBB, is that right?
That's right, from DITS Incorporated. Now,
sorry, which company?
DITS, DITZ Incorporated at Lelucia Ridge in KwaZulu-Natal, Durban.
Okay, and he's obviously tied up with the Master's office in Durban. Oh yeah, I've got it now. Yeah.
I think he's been tied up with a lot more than that, because I found an article that in the Gupta's case, DITS Incorporated offices were searched for their papers. But as I say, I don't shoot the messenger. It's only what I read in an article. So I don't think his feelings are all that in the light. So,
well, look, I'm going to be posting this video on Monday night on Loving Life TV, and I've got a message for Jeff Fobb from DITS Incorporated, and that is, I would love to have a live stream with you to explain your side of the story when it comes to what you've done to this woman and destroyed her life. Now, tell me about your life now, Cheralynne.
well, through the receivership, starting the beginning of next year, he sent me a small amount. Now, remember, I've been staying in hotels, backpackers, I've been renting houses, because obviously, when I lost the house in Port Edward, I had to surrender all my animals. My animals were all inoculated, they were sterilized, I'd made a life. I had to surrender them. So I lost all the furniture in that house, everything, down to my books in the drawer. All my animals, I had to surrender. My car was now sold. So eventually, when I came back after about 8 months of living in hotels, and me thinking that I'm going to get money back, now he said he's going to give me the final account. I bought myself a little dog, a puppy, because now I'm going to go buy a house. I can't tell you how many houses I've lost since then. So he sent a nominal amount, I think it was 100,000 Rand, which was gone in no time, because I was paying up to 10,000 Rand a month on accommodation, plus eating. I had no medical care, I didn't have anything. The second little 100,000 that he sent, I bought myself a car, which I subsequently had to sell to get funds for an attorney to dispute his final account in October, those funds were robbed out of my Standard Bank.
No, hang on. I need to stop you there, because the way I understand it is that this guy Jeff Fobb, and I'm only saying what I heard from you, is that he said, "Oh well, if you think you haven't got the money you owed, sue me, or sue your husband. No, sue your husband. Sue your husband, and then we'll see what we can do." So it was like take you through the expensive legal system to get some of your money back. Is that correct?
It's absolutely correct. And he then further said, but I have the option to dispute. I have the option to dispute this account. It tells me that in the order.
Yeah.
He said, no, the only way you can dispute this is to get yourself an attorney. As you know, I've tried 7 attorneys to try and help me dispute it from the day he kicked me out.
Yeah.
The attorney won't touch it. They won't. I don't know what it is about Jeff Fobb. It's nobody will touch anything to do with him. 7 attorneys agreed that he can kick me onto the street because they didn't intervene or help me. So eventually, for me to be able to get attorney, the only thing I had was I bought a second little car. I sold the car to rebuy cars to employ an attorney. That attorney that I paid also got nothing done. It's now 7 months later, nearly 8 months later, since the October final account. That attorney took my money, wrote a letter to Jeff Fobb. No response from Jeff Fobb, no response from that other attorney, which is now the 7th. So going on 8 months, I haven't got one soul to help me dispute it. And every month, my situation gets, the little cabin I'm losing because my levies are outstanding. I'm being handed over for a credit card from 2019 that he still to this day hasn't paid. 2023. I got an email on Friday saying, you are now being handed over. And you know how much that credit card was for? 3,000 Rand. 2023, he never settled that credit card.
And you're talking about Jeff Fobb?
Jeff Fobb, the liquidator. I cannot apply for a cell phone contract because I've been blacklisted. Up until the time of the liquidation, I've never in my life had a bad account. I'm now blacklisted for my cell phone account. I've got a judgment from Standard Bank for my Wi-Fi, for medical accounts. I'm blacklisted. I can't qualify for a cell phone contract. That's how nice my life is.
Now, back in 2014, when you were still with your husband, you had all these properties, you had assets that you had built up together over many years, and now you're basically like a squatter. You've been just thrown out on the street.
Yes, but just to make sure that the information is correct, in the middle of last year, he said that I'm getting my money, the full amount.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm expecting that once again. No, now this time it's definitely finished. Now this time you're getting the money.
So hang on, just be clear. This is Jeff Fobb is saying, reassuring you that you're going to get your payout. And so, what happened?
In May. But I was living in my car with my 2 dogs at my Siamese cat.
So you didn't have a roof over your head, you lived in a car?
For 6 weeks on the beachfront.
Oh my gosh.
Eventually the welfare came and said, no, I'm sorry, this is not going to happen. You need to get to a place of shelter. That's because it's very dangerous, which, by the way, I knew that was the best time I ever had in my life. I'm in more danger where I am in this hut here than I was on the beachfront, but that's another matter.
Yeah.
So the welfare said, you need to get into a shelter, this is not safe for you, and the shelters don't take dogs. So the SPCA came, they were going to confiscate my dogs and my cat, because they're not allowed to be living in a car, although they were all well fed, we were all well fed. Then not just that, the police are up. And they said, if we see you parked anywhere in Port Edward again, we're going to put you in jail. So then I had to leave my nice spot in Port Edward and drive somewhere else. And then I went and lived in a picnic area on another beachfront for a week or 2. So eventually Jeff Fobb said, no, you're getting your money. So the SPCA kindly boarded my animals for me. And the only place, and then I expected now the money that he'd said that I'm getting. No. I went and found a house fully furnished, ready to start operating. The most gorgeous house on the beachfront in Port Edward.
Yeah.
We put it offer, and because I had cash, I got this house at an amazing price. I worked through an estate agent she was just amazing. Anyway, so now the money gets, now listen to me, I'm living in a car with a bank card with a PIN number.
Yeah.
I go and stand at the ATM to go and draw some money for us for food. My balance is over 800,000. What are you talking about? I only had my pension in here, must have the pension.
Yeah.
He deposited my payout into my savings account. And I said, well, now where's the rest? I've just put in an offer for 1.2 million now for this house. It's fully furnished that I don't even have to hang the curtain. Where's the rest? There isn't enough. What do you mean? So the estate agent, she phones this dude and says, listen, yeah, we've got this letter. She's ready to move in. She's staying in the car with her animals. And I've now managed to get her immediate occupation, the buyer, the sellers, and because it was a very well-established holiday venue, which was perfect for what I wanted to do, because it's not booked at the moment, she can have immediate occupation, it's fully fenced, it's got electric gates and everything. Where's her money? She can move in tomorrow. Jeff said, no, sorry, she's not getting that amount of money for that house. What does she think? The money that I put in the account, that's what she's getting. So I ended up now as an emergency because I wanted to get my animals back. They've been at the SPCA for 5 weeks while I was living in a hotel. The only place I could buy was a wooden hut, the one that I'm in now. That's it.
Wow.
What I'm in.
Wow. Look, okay. Two things. I would love to invite you onto Loving Life TV as I know you call them reels, but someone who actually puts up videos, because you have an incredible energy and an incredible vitality, and you've obviously had a really shit time over the last 10 years. And look, all my presenters on Loving Life TV are basically volunteers. I'm a pensioner in Australia, but I think you could add so much to our story because you have got this incredible energy, and I would love to have you involved in. Let me tell you a story. Have you heard of Pietrosito?
No.
Okay, Pietrosito is an African guy. He comes from East London, and Petrus has been fighting for the farmers in South Africa now for 4 or 5 years, I suppose. And when he first put up a video, because he was a black man fighting for what was largely crimes against the white farmers, which Ramaphosa was pretending didn't happen, I actually approached Petrus and I said, Petrus, look, let's get you involved with Loving Life TV. And he's now a big part of Loving Life TV. And he's got a huge following around South Africa now. Huge, absolutely huge. If you just, in fact, I will send you the link so you can go and have a look at some of his videos after this this live stream. But look,
I would be honoured. Honestly, I'd be honoured. My main purpose is I want to raise awareness for women. That I don't care which platform I have to go on. I have someone very dear to me that has just lost custody of her children because once again the legal system has let her down.
Yeah.
And, my mom didn't have an easy life because the legal system favoured the abuser. Now abuser's been favoured by the legal system. My very dear person that I'm talking about, the legal system has let her down because she didn't have money for an attorney. She tried to go through legal aid. Now, let me tell you something in this country. Legal aid is not interested in your problems. In fact, I approached the Legal Practice Council to investigate my case against Jeff Bob. For 4 years, they did an investigation. They found that there was nothing untoward in my case. The Legal Practice Council, for 4 years, I've been asking them to intervene. They just don't. Then what's more frightening, eventually I got a report from them saying, listen, we've totally investigated your case. We find another thing untoward that the practitioner might have done. But further than that, you have the right to appeal. This you got to hear this. You have the right to appeal this investigation, but the appeals committee has not yet been formed.
oh my God.
I swear to God, I've got it on the website. So you can appeal to the committee, but look, we got to just get this committee
They don't actually have the committee formed yet. So in other words, they're talking BS. Look, Cheralynne, look, I think this could be a lovely union into the community, the Loving Life family. We've got a huge Loving Life family, a huge Loving Life community. I've got a bunch of co-presenters, and I would love to, on a weekly basis, have a video from you talking about life in South Africa. And
I love it.
And
you're going to regret that. Because I'm an animal activist. Animals are my passion.
Okay, well look, let me tell you, my webmaster, his name is Adrian, is an animal activist too.
Okay,
so
we are.
Look, I will put you in touch with him next week, and let's see where this goes, because I have got an amazing team of people around me here on Loving Life TV, and The platform is growing and growing and growing, and I just love your energy. I love your
Flirt. He's such a flirt. I'd be honored. Thank you very much.
I'm not a flirt. I'm just being real. I think what I love about your energy is that you are very real. You speak from a very real perspective on what's happening in your life, and I think that's very, very rare. So, yeah, welcome to the Loving Life family, and
Thank you. Yeah, does that mean that means I'm actually belong to something? That's
do.
cool. Yeah, I never knew that I was fitting in before. I'd be so honoured, and wow, that is just, it's such a compliment, and I thank you for that. I must say.
You will be part of the Loving Life family, and on Monday night this will be going live. It's pre-recorded, as everybody will know. But if you just send me your, as you call them, the reels, and talking about your perspective on life in South Africa and what's going on, I will put those up onto Loving Life TV on a regular basis. We'll have a little category set up for you. It'll be a category, and so that people can see what it's like for a single woman who's been screwed by the system in South Africa. And I think that's going to be an amazing journey for everybody.
Oh, thank you. I'd be honoured, and I thank you very much. Okay.
Cheralynne, take care. And so look, I will send you the link to where this live stream is going to go live on Monday night. And have a great weekend, and know that you're not alone. Know that there is a Loving Life community out there who we've achieved some amazing things in the past. So, just be aware you're not alone. Okay, you've got a family that you've just.
So wonderful talking to you. Thank you very much. Bye bye now.
Okay, take care. Bye.
You too. Bye bye.
All right, guys, that was my discussion with Cheralynne. It was pre-recorded, as you saw. But, when you come across people who've been totally shafted by the system like that lady has, it's about time that she gets a break. And I'm looking forward to putting her videos up, because I think that she's very real. And there's just something about her story that I think would add a lot to what we're putting out there on Loving Life TV. All right, guys, I'm going to go out with Hier Bly Ek Boer, and have a great evening. And don't forget, the rest of the week we've got some very interesting discussions, which will all happen at 8 p.m. From Tuesday through to Friday. Take care. Have a great evening. Bye for now.
Meer as 61,000 van ons voorvaders het op die grens vir ons gesterwe, sodat ons vry kan wees. Die is my land. Die is my reg. Hier is ek boer. Van stof is ek gemaak en sal ek terugkeer. Die Bybel is die woord waaruit ek leer, soos die grond op die aarde. Hier bly ek boer. So diep in die nacht sal die vyand kom, maar hier bly ek staan en draai nie om, want jy maak my nie bang nie. Hier bly ek boer. My land waarvoor ek sal veg, die is my bloed, my zweet, my rug. Die is die plek waar my voorvaders leef. Die is my land, hoor wat ek jou sê. Die is my land, wat my mense voel. Hier
Asem in die somer wat vreugde bring. My oupa wat maniekie roek kon sing, soos hy stap deur die lande. Hier was hy boer. My wortels lê diep in die grond geplant. Hy siel soos my pa, los ek vir jou die land, en jy hoef nie te vrees nie, hier sal jy boer.
Die is my land waarvoor ek sal veg. Die is my bloed, my zweet, my reg. Die is die plek waar my voorvaders leef. Die is my land, omdat ek jou sê. Die is my land, wat my mense voer. Hier bly ek door.
Die leeuw sal kom, 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 die leeuw sal kom.